କିଏ ଗୋଟେ ଅଛି ପ୍ଲିଜ୍ ଫୋନ୍ କରି କହିବୁ ନାହାନ୍ତି।
Good afternoon. I welcome you all to this course on entrepreneurship. I'm Dr. Pradeep Sahu. I'll be taking you through the various aspects of entrepreneurship. Hope all of you enjoy. The objective of this module is to understand the word entrepreneurship. We will also look into the difference between an entrepreneur and a manager, the difference between an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur. Apart from all these topics, we will also try to understand the various characteristics of the concept of entrepreneurship and the various characteristics of entrepreneurship, the process of entrepreneurship, the advantages and disadvantages of entrepreneurship in today's class. As I told you, I have structured this particular unit in this fashion. We'll be taking up most of the topics today, and we will continue to discuss in tomorrow's class also. Before I can start with the topic of entrepreneurship, let me read out a case of one gentleman called Mansukh Prajapati before I can start to discuss about entrepreneurship. This case study, the earth at this innovator's feet. Mansukh Prajapati is an innovator. Let me talk to you about what all he did and how he was innovative and creative in coming up with a new idea. Mansukh Prajapati, he remolded his family's struggling pottery business. As all of you know today, people use other kinds of utensils, but mostly pottery is not being used. So the family of Mansukh Prajapati was struggling with their age-old traditional pottery business. And what he did was, he transformed the pottery business into a new kind of product. He started to produce mythical range of ingenious earthenware, including a fridge that works without electricity. Okay. So, reporting on the devastation and thousands of lives lost during the 2001 earthquake in Gujarat, local newspapers had this intriguing headline describing the havoc wreaked at a potter's colony. Garibona fridge no bhukon, means pieces of the poor people's fridge. Among the debris were the shards of hundreds of broken clay pitchers. That headline proved to be a game changer for Wakaner-based potter Mansukh Prajapati, who literally picked up the pieces to begin afresh, start afresh on a remarkably innovative idea. The mythical refrigerator, which is made up of mud or clay and works without electricity. Mansukh, originally from Morvi village in Rajkot, South Gujarat, a 10th standard dropout, began working at a tea stall after his father discouraged him from entering the family's pottery business as the income was negligible. The returns from the business were negligible. He became a supervisor. After a while, he became a supervisor at a roof tile manufacturing company. And eventually, in 1989, he came back to his passion for pottery by producing tawdi or tawa, frying pan from clay. Although his father-in-law desired him to continue working at the roof tile company, Prajapati's wife encouraged him to experiment with the family business all over again. It was this abiding interest in innovation that led him to develop the Mitti-cool water filter way back in 1997. A lot of rigorous experimentation went into his work on the Mitti-cool refrigerator, which he launched in 2002. This Mitti-cool filter, water filter, besides having a tank for cooling and storing 10 liters of water, the earthenware refrigerator has two compartments for storing 5 kg of vegetables, fruits, and other food. It takes about 7 days to make one Mitti-cool fridge. The special terracotta clay used is baked at 1200 degrees Celsius to harden it. Like any clay pot used to cool water, the fridge too works by keeping the inside temperature 10 degrees lower than the outside. The natural cooling process keeps vegetables and fruits fresh for up to 5 days and milk products for up to 3 days. Measuring 27 inches high and 15 inches wide, the fridge costs between rupees 3,000 to rupees 3,500. As it works without electricity, it is especially useful in villages that experience frequent power cuts. This particular case study about Mansukh Bhai talks about 3 concepts: the concept of entrepreneurship, the concept of an entrepreneur, and the concept of an enterprise. So let us begin discussing the topic of entrepreneurship. Let me give you a brief introduction to the topic of entrepreneurship. All of you should know that entrepreneurship is like a ship on a voyage that has on board innovative and creative men and women like Mansukh Bhai. People who are innovative and creative, who like to do all those constructive things which nobody could lay his or hands on before. They make a fortune out of ideas. Success never goes to their heads, and each setback makes them bold enough to carve their future aiming for excellence. I just briefed you about Mansukh Bhai, and if you look into the various attributes of Mansukh Bhai, you will find that he made a fortune out of his innovative idea. So entrepreneurship is the freedom to do what one likes to do, with all its attendant profits and risks. It doesn't come free. It comes with profits and risks. Entrepreneurship is defined by results and not by attributes. You should know that it is a passion and all about taking risks, commercial risks. True entrepreneur uses not only his or her senses 1 to 5, but 6, 7, 8, and 9. 6 to 9 do not really exist, but he or she develops them through his or her exposure, experience, failures, and following the concept of listening to understand. Entrepreneurship has evolved through the centuries, and it has been viewed differently according to conditions prevailing in the world economy. The new age business ventures are more idea-centric. If you go through many of the business ventures which have started recently, are more of idea-centric and not just product-based. The earlier business ventures were basically product. So the key to success in business is not just inheritance, it is creation of more wealth and the constant innovation. It is creation of more wealth and the constant innovation from the prevailing to the next best practices. Accordingly, a wide range of small and mid-sized businesses have emerged and gained popularity with the affluent middle class, determined to spend more as well as drive value out of every rupee spent. So, entrepreneurship is widely regarded as the best way to augment the growth of an economy. You will know that entrepreneurs are the harbingers of a prosperous society. If a society has to prosper, it needs more and more people with entrepreneurial skills, entrepreneurial ideas, and a good understanding of entrepreneurship. An entrepreneur not only creates employment but also contributes to the economic development of the country. Entrepreneurs have played a significant role in developing some of the best economies in the world. Like, take the example of USA and Japan. In India too, we have had several communities who have played a significant role of entrepreneurs for the economic development of our nation. Entrepreneurs are the prime movers of innovation. They are the ones who are creative and innovative and the introducers of new product into the market. Therefore, they play a key role in improving the economic condition of the state. Enumerating further the importance of entrepreneurship, we see that entrepreneurship help in capital creation by bringing together the resources of the people. Entrepreneurship are employment creators and their role is pivotal. Entrepreneurs are employment creators and their role is pivotal. By creating employment opportunities, the standard of living of people increases. And also the purchasing power of the people augments. Entrepreneurs help in developing total community. If employment is diversified among small entrepreneurial units, it promotes overall standard of living, leading to stability and higher quality of community life. So for people who are open to challenges and ready to take risks, entrepreneurship is the most appealing activity, the success of which can be hugely rewarding. So if you take up a career as an entrepreneur, and if you really apply what is required in entrepreneurship, if you follow strictly the process of entrepreneurship, you will achieve success and it will be a highly rewarding experience for you in life. So entrepreneurs are an asset to any nation. They change the lifestyle of the people of a country by introducing new products and services. If we look at the Indian Information Technology Revolution in the early 90s, we see that the effect of this has led to phenomenal growth of the Indian economy in itself over the years. Today, India is the largest exporter of softwares. You will feel happy to know this. So the IT revolution in India created ancillary industries that became valuable creators of employment opportunities for the youth of our country. Today, the startup revolution has taken the whole of India by storm. The government promotes entrepreneurial spirit through various schemes and tax benefits that has made entrepreneurial efforts worth trying. So you need to, if you have that ability, if you have that scope, it will be a very good idea to take up entrepreneurship and become an entrepreneur so that you can contribute to the nation's growth. So, entrepreneurship is regarded as the panacea for the unemployed in an economy. Self employment empowers an individual and helps in bringing about the social change for community development. So, what is it all about? Entrepreneurship is the capacity of a person to assume risk, accountability, and challenges with a view to explore opportunities, disrupt market norms, and create values. So, it is about looking for opportunities, solving problems, using disruptive and emerging technologies, disrupting market norms, and at the end of the chain, you need to create value. You should have value on hand. So, entrepreneurship is the process of setting up one's own business as distinct from pursuing any other economic activity, be it employment or practicing some performance, some profession. The person who sets up his business is called an entrepreneur. The output of the process, that is the business unit, is called as an enterprise. So there are three things. The concept of entrepreneurship has the entrepreneurs, the enterprise, and entrepreneurship. So some scholars define entrepreneurship in terms of the attributes of an entrepreneur, while others define it in terms of the activities that the entrepreneurs undertake. We'll be looking into many definitions of entrepreneurship today. It is very interesting to note that entrepreneurship, besides providing self-employment to the entrepreneur, is responsible to a great extent for creation and expansion of opportunities for the other two economic activities, that is employment and profession. Can you think why and how? Further, you should note that each business gives rise to other businesses. The suppliers of raw materials and components, service providers, and advertising firms, accounting firms, and advocates, etc. They give rise to other businesses. And in the process, entrepreneurship becomes crucial for overall economic development of a nation. Given its important role in the overall scheme of economic development, it is interesting to note that not many persons opt for a career in entrepreneurship. It is very challenging. Traditionally, it was believed that entrepreneurs are born. But today, through proper training, proper counseling, and an understanding of entrepreneurship, you also can transform yourself into a creative innovator or a entrepreneur. So, no society can wait for the chance of birth of entrepreneurs to pursue its development plans. In fact, plans for economic development would bear little fruit unless entrepreneurship development is regarded as a deliberate process of making people aware of entrepreneurship as a career at an earlier age, and creating situations where they may actually make a choice to become entrepreneurs. When you decide to become an entrepreneur, and when you make this choice to become an entrepreneur, you become a job provider rather than a job seeker, besides enjoying a host of other financial and psychological rewards. Taking to entrepreneurship is surely more a matter of aspiring to becoming an entrepreneur rather than as being born as one. So, the little bit of advice that I can give you, it's not just entrepreneurs are born, but you, as I told you, if you have the passion for entrepreneurship, you also can transform yourself with the right attitude. You can also transform yourself to become an entrepreneur and serve the society. So this shows the very objective analogy of the concept of entrepreneurship. You have the entrepreneur who practices entrepreneurship in the enterprise or outside of it. Okay. So the concept of entrepreneurship, as you are aware, that entrepreneurship is regarded as one of the four major factors of production. The other thing being land, labor, and capital. However, it should surprise you that as regards its French origin, the term entrepreneurship, which was originally derived from the verb entrepreneur, meaning to undertake. It pertained not to economics but to undertaking of military expeditions. So it is true of many terms in management, such as it is closely related to these management terms also. Strategy, which means a course of action to beat the competition, the enemy. Logistics, movement of men and machines for timely availability, etc. So historically, as wars are followed by economic reconstruction, it should be no surprise that military concepts are used in economics and management. These are some of the definitions, important definitions by various management scientists. Entrepreneurship is the process by which it's a process by which individuals pursue opportunities without regard to the resource they currently control. It's also defined as the persistent progression towards an innovative solution to a key problem. It's the constant hunger for making things better and the idea that you are never satisfied with how things are. Entrepreneurship is a mindset. Some people think that it's a way of thinking and acting. It is about imagining new ways to solve problems and create value. Fundamentally, entrepreneurship is about the ability to recognize and methodically analyze an opportunity and ultimately to capture its value. Entrepreneurship can also be defined as follows. To be a successful entrepreneur, you must have a passion for learning. Apart from these typical managerial definitions of entrepreneurship, you also have many other definitions defining entrepreneurship, like the one defined by Richard Cantillon. Richard Cantillon, a French economist and banker, first popularized the idea of entrepreneurship by investigating entrepreneurial activities in France during early 18th century. He pointed out that business owners pay a particular price for a product so as to resell it in the market for an uncertain price. This makes business owners different from other people because they take on more risks. So he advocated that entrepreneurs take more risks. Later, Adam Smith expanded the economic definition of entrepreneurship by characterizing the entrepreneur as a profit-seeking enterprise who is striving to establish a business with a commercial goal. This particular definition by Jean-Baptiste Say talks about how by incorporating economic development into the idea of entrepreneurship, we can define an entrepreneurship and expand the meaning of the term entrepreneurship. Baptiste, he proposed that an entrepreneur's role is to coordinate and manage the factors of production. The entrepreneur also assumes the risk of the business through this job while at the same time making profit and building wealth. Schumpeter's definition of entrepreneurship, before he proposed his theory of innovation and economic development, entrepreneurship was not envisaged as a dynamic force capable of transforming and expanding the economic activity of a nation. In the view of Schumpeter, creation of new understanding involves exploring pioneering innovations and using novel combinations of resources and actions by the entrepreneur. He advocated that the entrepreneur can help a new business thrive by creating new demand expanding into new market, exploring new technology or supply chain, etc. According to him, an entrepreneur destroys or disrupts an equilibrium state market. According to this equilibrium, market economics operate in a situation where individuals are unwilling to alter their current behavior because there aren't enough incentives. So Scum Peter argued that an entrepreneur is essentially an innovator. He argued that entrepreneurs are essentially innovators. That means the function of entrepreneurs is to reform or revolutionize the pattern of production by exploiting an innovation, or more generally, an untapped technological possibility for producing a new commodity or producing an old one in one way, opening a new source of supply of materials or a new outlet for products by organizing a new industry. So these are some of the other definitions defined by Cole, Lowe, and Macmillan's. Cole, he defined entrepreneurship as an integrated sequence of actions by an individual or by a group operating for individual business units in a world characterized by a large degree of uncertainty. Lowe and Macmillan argued that entrepreneurship entails formation of new organization and it plays vital role in the advancement of the economy. Entrepreneurship, as defined by Davidson et al., is the creation of new economic activity, which includes the development of new businesses as well as the expansion of already existing ones. So this is a definition by Sen and Venkataraman, where they acknowledge that creativity is the foundation of entrepreneurship. So last but not the least, we can sum up by saying that entrepreneurship can be defined as a systematic, purposeful, creative activity of identifying a need, mobilizing resources, and organizing production with a view to delivering value to the customers, returns for the investors, and profits for the self in accordance with the risks and uncertainties associated with business. This particular definition points to certain characteristics of entrepreneurship that we turn our attention to. In the subject verb object formulation of the concepts of entrepreneurship and enterprise, we saw that entrepreneurship is about the process of setting up a business. One cannot but marvel at the beauty of the process. How does one first of all decide to choose one business as a career? How does one sense a market opportunity? How does one muster up courage to embark upon it and mobilize the requisite resources, etc.? So much so that recourse to entrepreneurship is, in common parlance, is considered as an exclusive preserve of a few gifted individuals. In the following discussion, our effort would be to establish entrepreneurship as a career that you should aspire for. Remember, resources may be limited, aspiration need not be. So you can aspire for something bigger than your present status and resources, and start today. Remember, aspiration means desired multiplied by actions. So the first characteristics of entrepreneurship is that it's a systematic activity. It's a step-by-step and purposeful activity. It's a lawful and purposeful activity. It is important to take note that one may try to legitimate unlawful actions as entrepreneurship on the grounds that just as entrepreneurship entails risks, so does illicit businesses. Purpose of entrepreneurship is creation of value for personal profit and social gain. So A typical characteristic of entrepreneurship is that it should be lawful and a purposeful activity. Entrepreneurship is all about innovations. I told you about the case study of Mansukh Bhai Prajapati at the beginning. Uh, from the point of view of the firm, innovation may be cost saving or revenue enhancing. If it does both, it is more than welcome. Even if it does none, it is still welcome as innovation must become a habit for an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is creative in the sense that it involves creation of value. You must appreciate that in the absence of entrepreneurship, matter does not become a resource. By combining the various factors of production, entrepreneurs produce goods and services that meet the needs and wants of the society. Every entrepreneurial activity or act results in income and wealth generation. Even when innovations destroy the existing industries, for example, Xerox machine destroyed carbon paper industry, mobile telephony threatens landline basic telephony, net gains occurring to the economy lend such entrepreneurial actions as commendable as the acts of creative destruction. So entrepreneurship is creative also in the sense that it involves innovation, introduction of new products, discovery of new markets and sources of supply of inputs, technological breakthroughs, as well as introduction of newer organizational forms for doing things better, cheaper, faster, and in the present context in a manner that causes the least harm to the ecology or environment. A lady entrepreneur wanting to introduce thermal pads for industrial heating faced tremendous reluctance from the owners of chemical and sugar mills, despite the established superiority of her products over the conventional heating of the vessels by burning of wood, coke, or using LPG. The fourth characteristics of entrepreneurship is about organization of production. Production implying creation of form, place, time, personal utility requires the combined utilization of diverse factors of production, land, labor, capital, and technology. Entrepreneur, in response to a perceived business opportunity, mobilizes these resources into a productive enterprise or firm. It may be pointed out that the entrepreneur may not be processing any of these resources. He may just have the idea that he promotes among the resource providers. Organization of production also involves product development and development of the market for the product. Besides, entrepreneurs may be required to develop even the source of supply of requisite inputs. The fifth characteristics of entrepreneurship is risk-taking. It is generally believed that entrepreneurs take high risks in order to have a bigger outcome, in order to have a dramatic improvement in your profits. You need to take high risks because high risks provide high gains. It is said that entrepreneurs thrive on circumstances where odds favoring and against success area even, that is 50:50 situation. They are so sure of their capabilities that they convert 50% chances into 100% success. They avoid situations with higher risks as they hate failure as anyone would do. They dislike lower risk situations as business ceases to be a game or fun. Risks as such, more than a financial stake, becomes a matter of personal stake, where less than expected performance causes displeasure and distress. Although I told you that high risk brings you high gains, but entrepreneur, to be on the safe side, they look for a 50:50 situation to convert the 50% chances into 100% success. So the characteristics of an entrepreneurship discussed already. in diverse contexts, uses the term entrepreneurship, industrial entrepreneurship, techno entrepreneurship, netpreneurship, green or environmental ecopreneurship, intra-corporate firm or entrepreneurship, and social entrepreneurship. In fact, entrepreneurship has come to be regarded as a type of behavior whereby one, rather than becoming a part of the problem, proactively tries to solve it, uses personal creativity and intellect to develop innovative solutions, thinks beyond resources presently controlled in exploiting the emerging opportunities or attending to the impending problems, has the conviction to convince others of one's ideas and seek their commitment towards the project, and has the courage of heart to withstand adversities, persist despite setbacks, and be generally optimistic. Entrepreneurship and management. What is the relationship? Entrepreneurship is about business startups and renewals. That is, it appears at the time of starting a new business, disappears for some time in the course of stabilizing the venture as an ongoing business, and reappears in case there is a need for introducing changes in products, market, technology, structure, and so on. In fact, it is said that everyone is an entrepreneur when he actually carries out new combinations and loses that character as soon as he has built up his business, when he settles down to running it as other people run their businesses. In developed countries, you will note the distinction between entrepreneurial focus on startups and managerial focus on routine is so sharp that it is argued that once the project has reached a level of maturity, the entrepreneurs must move out and the managers must come in. In developing countries such as India, however, the concept of owner-manager seems more apt for entrepreneurship, as the entrepreneur remains attached even to the day-to-day operations of the venture. In fact, their lacking in managerial skills is often forwarded as the cause of business failures. Just as many managers are expected to play entrepreneurial roles in the time of need, likewise, the entrepreneurs must also demonstrate managerial abilities for the success of their venture. Irrespective of whether the entrepreneurs pay way for the managers or they themselves assume the managerial responsibilities, it is possible to distinguish between the terms entrepreneurship and management. This particular slide shows you the difference between entrepreneurship and management on the basis of various aspects, like focus. In entrepreneurship, the focus is on business startups, wherein in management, it is the ongoing process of an existing business. Resource orientation, the entrepreneur does not feel constrained by resource, but a manager is constrained by the resources at his disposal. As per the approach to the task, entrepreneurship is informal, management is very formal. The primary motivation for entrepreneurship is achievement. The primary motivation for management is power. Status, in entrepreneurship, the status vis-a-vis the enterprise is the owner himself, but in management, it's the employee. The primary economic reward for entrepreneurship is profit, but the primary economic reward for management is salary. And these are some of the other differences that you can see on the basis of innovation orientation. Entrepreneurship challenges status quo, whereas management maintains the status quo. Entrepreneurs are risk takers, but managers are risk averse. Approach to decision making, inductive logic is followed by entrepreneurs, but managers follow deductive logic. Scale of operation, entrepreneurship starts with small businesses, but management is carried out in large businesses. Primary skill requirement for entrepreneurship is opportunity spotting, initiative, resource negotiation. But in management, it's all about organizing systems design and operating procedures and people management. The orientation for entrepreneurship, generalist has to know and do all the trades by himself, but in management, we look for specialists. So the need for entrepreneurship, every country, whether developed or developing, need entrepreneurs because, as I told you in the opening slides, that entrepreneurs are the harbingers of prosperity and development of a country. Economic development happens because people practice entrepreneurship, and if the number of entrepreneurs are more, it benefits the country to become an economic superpower. Now, what is that entrepreneurs do to affect economic development? This leads us to the discussion of the functions of the entrepreneurs in relation to economic development. As the enterprise is the object of their endeavor, it is also necessary that we examine their functions in relation to the enterprise as well. Thus, the need for entrepreneurship arises from the functions that entrepreneurs perform in relation to the process of economic development and in relation to the business enterprise. But before we can discuss functions of entrepreneurs in relation to economic development in the subsequent classes, we need to discuss now the difference that lies between entrepreneurs versus managers and the difference between entrepreneur versus intrapreneur. So the first difference between entrepreneur and versus the manager is that what primarily an entrepreneur's task is to recognize unexplored opportunities, exploit unfulfilled market needs, develop a business idea or plan, and assume financial risk and uncertainty with an objective to achieve a commercial goal. An entrepreneur recognizes an opportunity in the form of an unfulfilled market need and develops appropriate solution to address such needs through creation of new products and services. An entrepreneur essentially revolutionizes the pattern of production of goods or services either by exploiting a novel technological innovation or through innovating business models. The focus of an entrepreneur is predominantly external, wherein he or she scans and interprets the external market information to formulate appropriate business strategy. They introduce a pioneering business idea having potential for value creation. On the contrary, a manager is primarily responsible for overseeing and guiding the ongoing operations in an existing firm with an objective to produce and supply goods and services in an efficient and timely manner. Manager performs the above tasks with the help of his or her assistants. The objective is to achieve business goals in an effective way. Unlike entrepreneurs who own a business and seek profits through their efforts and investments, a manager is essentially an employee of an organization who manages the affairs of the firm in return of a fixed salary and defined incentives. And we have discussed in the previous slides many other aspects which differentiate an entrepreneur from a manager. Now, coming to the difference between entrepreneur and entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs are individuals but do it within an organization. Then they are referred to as entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are employees of an organization who are innovative for the business and take the risks of their employer. We discussed entrepreneurs. Now we are discussing how entrepreneurship is different from entrepreneurship. This word entrepreneurship is a word coined by Pinochet to describe the entrepreneurial spirit that fosters project and business initiatives within organizations. Entrepreneurs put their entrepreneurial knowledge, insight, and forward thinking to use. They are imaginative people who frequently work in teams with the goal of promoting innovation and the creation of new products, technologies, or services for their employers. Unlike entrepreneurs who run their organization independently and take a risk with an objective to create incremental wealth and impact, entrepreneurs are not independent. They work within the confines and objectives of the company. Most often, the company owns the products developed by entrepreneurs as their intellectual property. The rewards for entrepreneurship may be limited to bonus, promotions, or salary hike. Since the company assumes the financial risk and makes the investment, reward for innovation is minimal for the entrepreneurs. Now, before winding up, let me tell you there are certain myths of entrepreneurship which, as an entrepreneur, you should know. Most according to Guy Kawasaki, many entrepreneurs believe a set of myths about entrepreneurship. The most common being starting a business is easy. Actually, it is not. It takes a lot of money to finance a new business. The typical startup only requires about rupees 1,50,000 to get going. You should know. Successful entrepreneurs who do not believe the myth design their business to work with little cash. They rent instead of buying, and they turn fixed costs into variable costs by paying people commissions instead of salaries, for example. Infosys was started with only 10,000 rupees. Startups cannot be financed with debt. Actually, debt is more common than equity. A lot of entrepreneurs use debt rather than equity to fund their companies. However, the composition of debt and equity will have to be worked upon. Banks don't lend money to startups. This is another myth. Banks and various government schemes have been implemented with the idea of providing finance to budding entrepreneurs. Most entrepreneurs start businesses in attractive industries. Most entrepreneurs had right for different industries for startups. Most entrepreneurs start businesses in attractive industries. It was totally a new venture where different raw materials were tried out to make handmade paper in this company. Maima Meher started Hatichar. This was a company wherein it was totally a new venture where different raw materials were tried out to make a handmade paper. After researching a lot, the people in the company found that elephant dung had more fiber content, which made it easy to make handmade paper. The growth of a startup depends more on an entrepreneur's talent than on the business he chooses. This is not true, as the industry that an entrepreneur chooses to work has a huge effect on the odds that it will grow. Most enterprises are financially successful or successful financially. This is also another myth. Entrepreneurship creates a lot of wealth, but it is very unevenly distributed. The typical profit of an owner-managed business is rupees 2 lakhs 40,000 per year. Only the top 10% of entrepreneurs can earn more money than employees, and the typical entrepreneur earns less money than he or she otherwise would have earned working for someone else. So to end this course on the introduction to entrepreneurship, let me tell you about some of the advantages and disadvantages of entrepreneurship. To everything in life, as you should note, there are advantages and disadvantages. Entrepreneurship is no exception. As a matter of fact, entrepreneurship involves a lot of risk taking, yet it can pay off very well with rewards such as profits. the opportunity to be your own boss and make your own decisions. Some of the advantages are excitement. Due to its high capacity for risk, there is a lot of adventure. For example, Steve Jobs left his position in Apple Incorporation and started Pixar, which later turned out to be a successful venture. Originality, some people feel that they can offer a new service or product that no one else has offered before. iPod and iPad are typical examples. Independence is a typical advantage of entrepreneurship. Some wish to be their own boss and make all the important decisions themselves. People look for independence, and entrepreneurship provides such independence to people. Rational salary. They are not being paid that what they are worth and would rather work on their own and earn the money they should be earning for their efforts. So people looking for a rational salary take up entrepreneurship. And if people are looking for freedom, entrepreneurs work on any idea which they feel will eventually turn out to be a successful venture. Are the people who sought freedom, and an example of such a kind of person or an entrepreneur is Richard Branson's idea of space mission. Certain disadvantages of entrepreneurship are salary. Starting your business means that you must be willing to give up security of a regular paycheck. Benefits, there will be undoubtedly fewer benefits, especially when considering what your business will be just starting off. Work schedule is never predictable. An emergency can come up in a matter of a second and late hours may become the norm. Administration, incompetent staff can be some of the disadvantages of entrepreneurship. So, with this, we can wind up the introduction to entrepreneurship. But before I wind up this unit on introduction to entrepreneurship, let me just briefly tell you about the various stages or steps or the process of entrepreneurship. The first step is self-discovery. The second stage is about identifying opportunities. The third is about generating and evaluating ideas. The fourth is about planning. And the fifth is about raising startup capital. The sixth is the startup, means the launching the venture, developing a customer base and adjusting marketing and operational plans as required. The seventh is growth, and finally harvest. So this process of entrepreneurship will be dealing in the subsequent classes. So thank you for your patience and for your understanding. I hope I have introduced you to the fundamental concept of entrepreneurship, and it was an enjoyable experience for you. Thank you.